Well, Saints travel to Devon this weekend to face newly promoted Plymouth Argyle. Joining us to help preview that game is Joe Bell from the Green and White podcast. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
Evening, gents. We all good?
Yeah, very good. A good point at Watford at the weekend, I guess. How's life in the Championship been so far? I think, is it 4 points from 2 games?
It's easy, this Championship, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's been a dream start, really. We obviously got the big 3 points on the opening day against Huddersfield, and we were going to Watford really with a touch of apprehension, I suppose, amongst the fan base. Everyone was going, this was the day that we'd really get a sense of what the Championship was like. And I mean, we defended for our lives. Watford had a large chunk of the game, as you'd expect, with the quality they've got in their side. But we were more than a match for them, particularly second half. If truth be told, although they registered a large number of shots, the best chances in the game fell to us. One in particular with about 20 minutes to go. So it's pleasing. It's been a great first week. Obviously, the 4 points and progression in the cup. So yeah, I think it's settled everyone's nerves a little bit about the level that we've come into.
Yeah, and progression in the cup's not for everyone. The manager's saying that he might be bringing in a striker before the end of the transfer window. Is there still a bit of business you'd like to be seen done?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a might. I think it's a necessity, really. We've only got 2 up there at the moment. We've got Ryan Hardy, who's been our top goal scorer now for a couple of years, and we've got a young lad we brought in from Wellington Phoenix last year, Ben Wayne, who looks a very good, promising talent. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to succeed with just 2. So we are looking for another centre forward. The hope is that we might try and get one in this week. It will be a loan. We've obviously spent a little bit of cash already, which is rather uncharacteristic, but that's the signs of the club and where we are now. So
have you heard of somebody called Sekou Mara, Joe?
I've not, no.
He could be a good fit for you.
Having been backstage for the last 10 minutes, I think I'll pass and I'll focus on the players we're linked with. But yeah, look, we'll see what comes of it. I think Schumacher's been fairly open that he wants somebody, if he can, with a bit of Championship experience. I know that's a little bit tricky to come by on a loan deal, but we've worked some magic so far this transfer window. So hopefully we've got a bit of gold dust left up our sleeves.
We've talked about the momentum as well with the clubs that get promoted. Are you feeling that? Is there a sense that there is still that momentum and everyone's still quite buzzing? And I guess the good start would have helped if they stuck to the principles that got them out of League One?
Yeah, I think the momentum's been building now for a couple of seasons. I don't think it's something that came about last year. I mean, the year before, we obviously had a fantastic season. Any side who misses out on the playoffs with 80 points can feel pretty hard done by. They didn't let it affect them last year. And I mean, we were outstanding all year. Constantly getting knocked back every week in the media that, oh, we won't last, they'll fall away. And we didn't drop out at the top 2 after, I think it was September the 16th or something. So we were always up there. The momentum is very key at home. I think in our last 47 league games, we've lost 7. So, good luck on Saturday. You're coming to a place that not many teams have much joy. And we're certainly not going to make it easy for you. But yeah, the place is buzzing. The city's buzzing. I mean, this is the first year, certainly since I've been supporting the club, that we've had a waiting list for season tickets. The place is selling out every week. We're going to sell out all our allocations every week on the road. It's refreshing to walk through the city centre and see green shirts and white shirts and not the reds of Liverpool's and Manchester United.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's a real sign of the times, and it's all thanks to our chairman Simon Hallett. He's put a great board underneath him in place, and as I say, it's been 4 or 5 years in the making, but we're reaping the benefits of it now, certainly.
Glen, are you looking forward to this one? I think it was 2011 that we played them last. That was a couple of goals for Ricky Lambert when we were kind of like flying high, and I think 3-1 the final score. But it should be a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, that was the game that basically got us up, wasn't it, into the Championship? Yeah, it got us.
You owe us one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. It's always nice to play teams that you haven't played for a long time, and from what I've seen of Argyle, it's only really this year, and there was quite a lot of highlights of their game against Huddersfield. Looked a decent side who try and play, which is nice. Obviously, very promising manager who we were briefly linked with. I don't know if that was media driven or whether that was actually a thing.
Alfie's fault.
Yeah, probably Alfie's fault. That's probably the Athletic. Boo. Yeah, so I like the fact that they're trying to do things a different way. I mean, Stephen Schumacher, he was a sort of lowish profile player, League One, League Two. Still younger than 40, which grates horribly with me. So it's two managers who are much younger than I am. And the club's obviously got something about it at the moment. General upward trend, as you say, for 4 or 5 years. Remember you knocking Pompey out the playoffs a couple of years ago. That was brilliant as well. So that was all good. So I'm really looking forward to the game. It'll be an interesting one for us because we had Sheffield Wednesday, who were obviously in League One last year in the first game, and that I think it's tough going to newly promoted sides away from home very early in the season, and obviously Argyle have had a good start, so it's going to be an interesting game. But yeah, like I say, looking forward to it, and be interesting to see if you can handle our attacking play. But if you've got any set pieces that you're certainly going to have some joy, because we don't appear to have a clue. So it should be a very entertaining game one way or another.
What are the aspirations, the expectations for the season, Joe? Is it just to start well and see how it goes, or are you looking to kind of really sort of cement themselves in the division?
It's pretty clear from everyone up there. It's a progression plan. So first year is always about consolidate, cement your place in the division, build from that moving forward. If the season ended now, I'd obviously be delighted, and it'd be a bit of a whirlwind. But yeah, I mean, look, I think that it's pretty public knowledge that our budget is a bottom third of the division budget. We feel like we've utilised it quite well. Obviously, with the players we've brought back, as well as some of the ones we've brought in. So the ambitions are to survive. No one's hiding away from that. But certainly from what we've seen, in particular yesterday as well, because we had to show a lot of different characteristics yesterday to what we did against Huddersfield. We had to sit in for periods of the game. We had to throw bodies on the line. We had to really work hard for the point. And we haven't had to do that the last couple of years, obviously, with the seasons we've had. So I think if anyone, certainly neutrals, didn't believe that we belonged at this level before yesterday, go back and watch that game, because that proved to everyone that we do. We're not here to make the numbers up. We are going to be a very competitive side. Of course, there are going to be games that we come up unstuck. We're going up against huge football clubs with great resources. I keep telling people it's a mini Premier League that we've come into. It's rather typical of Argyle that the one year we finally get back to the Championship, it proves that it's the hardest Championship there's been for a long time. So we're going to make it difficult for ourselves, but we're going to enjoy it. As I say, we're not here to make up the numbers. I think we can really surprise a few people looking at some of the 1 to 24 predictions that were put out.
The budgets is an interesting thing, Steve. I mean, on paper, you think that we should do all right here, but it's going to be a tough game, isn't it? Bit different to the Sheffield Wednesday one.
Yeah, I think hindsight will judge that Sheffield Wednesday game as a game against one of the weaker teams in the division. I think both Plymouth and Ipswich, from what I've seen so far, look a complete different proposition. They both have a hell of a lot of momentum. I mean, obviously Wednesday had their ridiculous playoff run, which we discussed at the sort of before that game. But all the nonsense that they've had in the summer, and they just don't look a very good team, or a team that's got any sort of confidence in themselves. Whereas Plymouth and Ipswich have both started excellently. Yeah, I mean, Plymouth look solid at the back, which is a new. That's going to be a new test for us, because we've not played anyone with a good defence yet. Wednesday were terrible at the back, and realistically we should have won that game by more. And obviously we scored 4 yesterday. Should have had 1 or 2 more. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how we get through through a team that's actually well organised. Defensively, yeah, I mean, obviously we have our stated problems, and we've got to kind of muddle our way through it until we've got to a stage where we're comfortable and we know what we're doing. But yeah, it's a case of kind of winging it a little bit and hoping that our attacking assets are able to. I mean, we're basically going to try and Keegan it, aren't we, for at least until the end of August, and then kind of assess it and see
There's
how
a reference
the land
for the
lies.
kids.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think ultimately most of our games are going to be quite fun to watch. I mean, as we've seen so far, I mean, less said about Tuesday the better, but the 2 league games so far have been good fun. And to be honest, the way Plymouth played against Huddersfield, I've not seen anything from the Watford game, but the way they played against Huddersfield off those highlights on the ITV show, I think, yeah, it's going to be an open game, and I mean, I'd be very surprised if it's low scoring.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to ask you for a score prediction in just a moment. Alfie, despite the early kickoff, I mean, it should be a great atmosphere. I don't know, are you going to leave in the middle of the night, or if you get to go down the day before? You must be looking forward to this trip.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it a lot. Like I say, sold out by what Joe says in the home end, sold out in the away end very quickly as well. It's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere. On a personal note, it's a bit annoying because the Premier League 2 first home game is on Friday night at Snow Stadium, and I want to try and beat every home 21's game. So I'll be doing that game until about 11 midnight that night, and then driving out to Plymouth at like 5 or 6 in the morning, whatever it takes. So yeah, that won't be ideal. But also just for supporters, it adds on a potential 3-figure sum, doesn't it? If you want to go up on the Friday. I mean, I think Glen's even debating whether you could or couldn't go because as a result of being on Friday, no trains and stuff. So it's a bit of a shame. I think, that's the EFL.
Yeah, trains were kind of virtually killed by the kickoff being moved. So yeah, so it's driving or nothing really.
But it is going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, and like Russell Martin's obviously not going to change the way that Southampton plays. So maybe Joe can tell us a bit more potentially about how Plymouth are going to deal with that. But they're going to try and dominate them on home part. They're going to absolutely try and play them off the park, and it's going to be a good contest.
Is set pieces the key, do you think, Joe? Because I don't know if you've seen any of the Southampton highlights, but I think there was a point yesterday where we'd faced 4 shots on target and all 4 of them had gone in. So you know the gaps are there if you can exploit them.
We had a running joke on our podcast all the way through last year how many games it had been since we'd scored a set piece goal, and we finally got one around March time. Yeah, I mean we're very hit and miss when it comes to our set pieces, I've got to say. We're one of very few teams who try and keep the ball in play if we can, so there's not too many set pieces. But interesting what you guys were saying there about the Sheffield Wednesday game and what Alfie just said there about how Argyle are going to try and combat what is likely to be Southampton seeing a fair chunk of the possession. I don't think anyone's blinkered to not expect that, even though it's on our home turf. And, we're not going to change our style. We're not suddenly going to switch to 7 at the back here and sit in a low block and try and scrape a point. This is our home game. We've lost 3 times last year. As I said, we've only lost 7 games in the last 47. We're going to really fancy this in front of the cameras, full house. Like we did against Huddersfield, and that will be an interesting matchup, really, because what you guys were saying there about your back 4, we set up with a front 3, but at times it can be a 4 or 5 that flood forward when we're on the attack and we've got the wind behind us. So they pop up in different positions as well. Don't get too set on what you see on a team sheet. They'll be all over the place throughout the 90 minutes. But it is a properly good game. This, I think, as you say, it's 2 sides who like to play proper football. They get it down. Big fan of Russell Martin and the way his teams play, but do not expect us to be as poor as Sheffield Wednesday were and just let you have it. That's not going to happen. We are going to try our best to get in your faces and hassle you. And if we pay the price, we pay the price. But this is the model that's got us to where we are now. So we're not going to abandon it just for one 90-minute game or a 112-minute game.
Well, yeah, however long. Yeah, sounds like it could be a good one. Can I just get a score prediction from you, Joe, before you go, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I think, as I say, I expect Southampton to see a fair chunk of the play, similar to what Watford did yesterday. But equally, when we got the ball, we caused Watford real problems, and I think it surprised them a little bit. We're on our home patch. we've got this record. It's going to sound really boisterous. I can't see us being beat, if I'm honest, just because of how we play at home. And with your leaky defence, obviously shipping 4, if we can nick one at a set piece, I'll be absolutely delighted. But our height isn't really our strength. I think the tallest player bar the keeper, who's 6'7" or something. I'd be surprised if he's coming up for a corner in the 10th minute or something. But I think our next tallest player is 6'2", 6'3". So I don't think you'll have a problem with being outdone in the height. 2-1 Argyle. I think if we can keep it tight for as long as we can, then we've got so many options coming off the bench at the moment. It's crazy. And particularly if we can get another striker in, that will only help that. But yeah, 2-1 Argyle with us. The trend seems to be we'll go 2-0 up and then concede one, and then it'll be squeaky bum time. But if we can have a good afternoon, then I'll be absolutely delighted. And what a start that would be to our season.
All right, let's go around the rest of the screen. Steve, your score prediction, please.
Yeah, I mean, this is arguably our biggest test so far, I think. I mean, Norwich, I think, were a fairly known quantity. And we still made a bit of a pig's ear of things at times. I mean, as I say, I think it'll be tight, but I think it's weird. It's going to be a tight game, but an open game. So tight result, but stupidly open game. Probably an insane pace, I would imagine. Both teams seem to as Joe said, Plymouth like to keep the ball in play. We certainly do as well. So actually, don't think there'll be the 112 minutes in this one, but there will be goals because of course there will be. So why the hell not 3-3?
3-3, right? Okay, Glenn.
Yeah, agree with everything that's been said so far. I'm quite optimistic. I think obviously Argyle got a very good home record, as Joe has mentioned. I don't think you'll have played a team with as much attack and flair as we've got at the moment. So that'll be an interesting test for your defence. We haven't got a clean sheet in us, so there's no way there won't be goals. So with all that, as we've had an Argyle win and a draw, so far from you two, I'll have a Saints win 3-2.
Okay, Alfie, are you confident?
Yeah, I think more so now that I'm so excited for the game now listening to Joe, but I think I'm actually more confident that if you try and play, no, it's not the Russell Martin way, but if you try and play the Russell Martin way against this Southampton team, I do think this Southampton will win that. And I was going to go 3-2, but I was giving you a free set piece goal, and listening to what you said about your set piece proficiency, I'm going to take that free set piece goal away and make it 3-1.
3-1. All right. I've gone for 2-1. So we'll see. And if you're watching live, by the way, just by all means, stick your predictions and your
it is.
It will be 0-0 now. As soon as I started saying that, it's going to be 0-0. Joe, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the season, and hopefully we'll catch up with you later in the year.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
Cheers, Joe. Joe joining us there to preview this weekend's game.